Hi, I'm Christina Chung and I'm a horticulturist here in rainy Vancouver. Today we're in my garden and I want to show you something that's super beneficial that many gardeners don't think about. Even before we enter the prime growing season, we as gardeners have probably thought about how to give our plants the best chance at success. We tend to our seedlings or buy the healthiest plants and also make sure we have supplies and tools on hand for the growing season. But did you know that there's one item that oftentimes doesn't make it onto the checklist? I'm talking about covering the soil, and it could be with mulch or with living plants, just something that acts as a blanket on top of the soil surface.
A light physical barrier on top of the garden beds and containers not only helps lessen the evaporation from the soil in the hotter months, it also prevents erosion from wind, water, like during heavy rains or when we overhead water, and also compaction from our feet.
Another huge benefit is weed suppression. So this beautiful dense mat of creeping thyme prevented weed seeds from landing and germinating. I don't have to do any weeding here, which is great. This adjacent area had exposed soil. Weed seeds landed, germinated, and now I have a lot of weeding to do. Have you ever tried to water a thirsty plant in your garden bed or a container and notice the water sliding right off of the surface? If so, then you may need to look into mulching.
There's likely a dry crust on top of the soil, which is preventing the water from actually infiltrating or entering the soil and reaching your plant's roots. And this is not good. One simple way to prevent this is by mulching or growing ground covers so that the crust doesn't form.
So what are some options for covering the soil? Well, one of the more common, effective, and free types of mulch are leaves.
If you have access to leaves, collect them and use them. The best leaves to look for are the ones that are small, like the size of your palm, and also pliable. The smaller size is much easier to apply and also breaks down through the season faster to contribute amazing organic matter into your soil.
Straw is a wonderful material and it's used a lot in food gardens. It's a lightweight material that's perfect for working around the base of crops. Now with all of these loose materials, you have to keep in mind that you want to create the blanket on top of the soil. You don't want to mix it into the actual soil.
One of my favorite ways to cover the soil is by using living plants. Low-growing perennials like creeping thymes, sedum, strawberry, ajuga, and other ground-hugging plants make excellent covers. You can even design a patchwork, all knitted together over time to suppress the weeds and also add a lot of interest and beauty to your garden.
If you're a food gardener, and especially if you garden in containers, here's a really fun, easy, and simple way to grow your edible ground cover. Just sow a whole bunch of baby greens like this kale and mustard here. For me, these are a bit too big. I'm going to harvest them and then sprinkle a new layer of seeds. They're going to germinate really quickly, and within 2 weeks, I'm going to get a new layer of edible ground cover. So when would you apply mulch? Anytime, really. But if you're planting plants into your garden right now, you can mulch with something quick like leaves so you can start getting the benefits of covering your soil.
Just make sure to leave an inch or so around the base of the plant.
So what if you just sowed a whole bunch of springtime veggies like greens and carrots? Instead of smothering the emerging seedlings, wait until they actually peek out of the soil and then apply the mulch around the base, like what I did with these carrots. In our climate, there's always a window of opportunity to introduce new plants into the garden, including perennial ground covers like this beautiful creeping thyme. Remember, with that protective blanket on top of the soil, you'll see fewer weeds, happier, more hydrated plants, less erosion from the wind and the rain, and also beauty if you opt for perennial plants. Thanks for joining me in my garden today, and happy gardening.